Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Monday night, 8 p.m. can mean only one thing. It is the Online Darts Live Lounge, and it is officially Dartmas. It is here, and it is special because there is a trio of us, myself, Phil Bars, Dan Simpson, and the newlywed Cam McFarlane is here. How are we doing, everyone?
All right, mate. Not so bad. Good to be back on. We're all very coordinated in black hoodies.
Yeah, we tell you what, we've done very well today, haven't we? To keep on brand.
To be honest, I didn't get a chance to stick my new one on. Mine's just a black hoodie. I've just got lucky.
you have just stuck lucky. That's well done. Yeah, all is well. It's different. I was going to say fresh from Minehead, but I'm not sure that such a thing exists. I don't think it's possible to be fresh from Minehead.
I was going to say, yeah, maybe more so at this time of year than in, well, March as it is now rather than February, but... sort of fresh. I haven't been back to work yet since mine, so that's good. I was off work today. Hell of a drive back here, but yeah, very, very good. Smashing weekend. Lots of darts to talk about. Great stream this afternoon. I see he's committed today because Anthony Eugenia very kind enough to join us from across the pond all afternoon today, and he's back in the chat room there. So thank you for this afternoon, Anthony. You did a top job.
Yeah, unbelievable weekend of Players' Championships. Then we've had 3 streams today. We've had Media Day in London. This is on par with the UK Open Day 1, the amount of things we've done in the last 24 hours.
A lot all at once.
It was ridiculous. Obviously, yeah. We had Last Chance Saloon, which Dan and Anthony absolutely smashed out the park. And then Jar was on for the draw, which we'll talk about later on. And look, it's just so much going on. And look, it is officially Dartmus. Now we can say it. The World Championship draw is done. There is no more distractions. It is Ali Pally all the way.
We know it's Dartmus when, there we go. Then when that logo goes up there, doesn't it? That's when we know that when the logo drops up there, that's when we're on the
one on the other side to where you're pointing.
Yeah, the other side. No, the other way.
I'm pointing on my screen. Am I reversing? There we go. Is that about right?
In the back end, yeah. I tell you what, look, we've got so much to cover. The chat room is rammed already. Del is in. How we doing, my friend? Dartswet Sport, how we doing? Malachi is in. Declan, how we doing? Shelty is rammed. Kieran, James, Warren, how we doing, my friend? Adam, how we doing? James, Marcus, of course. Anthony is in. Rob is there. Robbo, James. Oh, I'll tell you what, you lot are on it this evening. Jara's in as well. How we doing, lad? Johnny, how we doing, my friend? It is rammed. Right, let's try and break this down into some chronological order to get to where we need to be. So to do that, we've got to go all the way back to Minehead on Friday, which seems a long time away now.
It does, doesn't
it? Yes, when we had silly season, 2 stages. Dan commandeered stage 2 because it was better than stage 1 on the Friday afternoon.
Stage 2 is always better.
Everybody knows that stage 2 is better than stage 1, especially on the Friday afternoon. Friday afternoon, stage 2 is the place to be, and it's lost absolutely none of its charm. I thought it was smashing. I thought we saw some really cool, like certainly on that Friday, I thought we saw some great stuff in stage 2. Few upsets, few things that some people didn't think would happen. I mean, there's a few media outlets who are just looking for a click that have branded up some, that they're claiming upsets that I'm not having as upsets, because
media outlets wouldn't do that, would they?
No, because there's some of the surprises were absolutely not surprises, because some of these lads have been playing absolute bobbins for some time.
Surprises if you've not watched any darts for the last 12 months.
Yeah, exactly. If you still think some of these people are the dart player they were 5 to 7 years ago, then you might have a shock on your hands.
Yeah. Surprise, Phil Taylor is not even qualified.
Yeah, it's outrageous, isn't it? It's completely, and there are some stories kicking about that aren't a million miles away from that.
I know, yeah.
But yeah, I think we saw some really good stuff, and we'll get into it, I suppose, because some of the stuff that we saw on the first day that was particularly impressive, actually, like,
it kicked on a little bit. It kicked on a little bit more, and they went a bit further than the first round. I think Adam Lipscomb is definitely a story. Justin Hood, I thought did smash in and managed to put some wins in, and I thought generally round one on that Friday was really entertaining, smashing.
Yeah, well, I suppose the big question is, first of all, round one, who was your biggest disappointment? Chat room, you can get involved in this as well. Who was the one where you were like, I was expecting a little bit more?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a good question.
So
was giving us no tee up before the show. Just straight in with that first question. Good luck, lads.
Yeah. I mean,
here we go.
I suppose it's easy to look to like fairly, and it was early in the afternoon. We had Cross and Chisnell fell quite early, but again, I don't think neither of them surprised me. I think Damon Heta, arguably,
Clayton maybe as well, but he didn't
Johnny
play
Clayton. Yeah, Johnny Clayton, I think, is probably the one that surprised me the most, because we know that Damon Heta has got a stinker on a stage in him, and he has been fairly out of form, as with Chisnell and Cross.
Yeah.
Whereas Johnny Clayton, like a lot of people had him, especially the way the draw. Johnny going out messed up that side of the draw completely, that quarter completely.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people had Johnny get into the quarter, and Johnny falling early. That is probably, if you take the Van Veen Humphreys game, which you're probably going to have a look at separately, because it was a bit of a, that's something a bit obscure, isn't it? But yeah, Johnny Clayton probably biggest surprise.
Yeah, maybe like Nyman as well, but again, he played really well. It wasn't like he gone out of there because he's turned up and thrown a stinker in.
Well, he did play well, but I think the problem there was didn't he have darts to win it? Didn't he mismatch darts at 5-4 and then lost 2 on the spin, I think, to Veenstra? And
yeah, he did.
That's concerning, because we've seen a few times just like finishing line flutters from Wessel Nyman, and if he's clearly incredibly talented, but if he's going to fulfill that talent, he needs to start winning those games. There's
no point always averaging over a ton and getting beat, is there? Like,
exactly. You don't win anything for no one's giving out certificates and prize money for high averages. Like you get paid for winning darts matches. So if you can't convert that great performance into actually winning, you're never going to quite break through. And I don't think we have seen that from him just yet. I think that's why he's still sitting on the periphery a little bit, just around that 30-32 mark.
There's a couple I'm going to throw in there. Cameron Menzies losing 6-1 to Adam Lipscomb, and don't get me wrong, Lipscomb played well all weekend, but Cammy's played well on the stage of late. He seemed to have gotten over that stage fright, so that was a bit of a surprise for me to be battered 6-1. And although I'm going to say this guy that we know he's not been in any form, but I think retirement 3.0 is not far away. Barney looks shot.
Oh, there's nothing left, is there? And that's the problem. Is it's not. Yeah, it's not just getting beat either. It's turning up at a major, and because let's be honest as well, there's lots of people there. Everyone knows when you have a tournament at Minehead, it brings the darts purists. It's a very knowledgeable darting crowd at Minehead, more so than maybe nearly every other event. And there was a swell of people to that second stage to see the great Raymond van Barneveld, and it does attract people. Sometimes it's just nostalgia. People want to be able to see him one more time. Some of them just want to hear the walk on again. And I think for him to tip up at a major and average 76 and really not compete
against someone who's not played particularly well and hasn't played well on a stage for a long time.
He's not been, and also he's been battered by someone averaging 83. He's not bumped into one of the top 16 who's soaring. I do think if the World Seniors was still around and they were doing, 4-6 events next year, I think we might have seen a Steve Beaton-esque decision, hand the card back, do it on my terms, go and do this instead. The difficulty he has, I think, is without that other option, what's he going to do? He's not going to go and play Super Series. He's not going to go...
Surely he can just play exhibitions at this point and make a lot more money than he's making losing every time we see him.
Well, I wondered that. And what's his year to date? I'm just trying to see what he's earned.
I haven't got it up.
I mean, he's done 96 grand this year. And
that probably loses your card next year with the increased prize money everywhere.
So that's what I was about to say. So we think with the increased prize money, we think the safe spot is not going to be, you are not going to be safe under 100. Like we're virtually certain that you are not going to be safe under 100. So he's done, now granted that's 2 years, it's a 2-year cycle. He's done 96 grand this year. But all I think, what I genuinely think is, if you look at the amount of sort of working days that 96 grand has took him and divided it by that many number of exhibitions, he could probably just have gone on the cruise ships and earned a few bob, couldn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And it's a lot less stress. It's a lot less. Yeah. There's no pressure to win a game to make sure you're making money. You're getting paid up front and you...
with his titles, what he should be doing is setting up a darts academy in the UAE. It should be the Abu Dhabi Darts Academy or something like that. 5-time world champion. He'll never work again. Just needs. That's what he should be doing. Attaching his name to something like that.
Somewhere you want to grow the game, go and get your name to it early.
100%. Yeah. Be the first man to whoever goes first gets paid the most. That is literally it. And whoever goes first is going to earn the most money out of it. So yeah, get in there nice and early, because I can't see, especially when what we're looking at now is we're looking at the swell of depth of talent at the top end of the game. And we are having conversations regularly about players who are a million miles ahead of Raymond van Barneveld. And we're saying, how are they going to maintain a place in the top 16? How are they going to maintain a place in the top 30? How are they going to keep qualifying for TV events? And you look at the players that we have those conversations about, and you think, well, they're streets ahead of where he's at the minute.
Well, that's the question for me, isn't it? Like, when you see him turn up, and I mean, he's always looked a bit like he can't be arsed. So it's kind of just his style and the way that he wanders around. But you have got a question, like, what is his aim at this point? Is it just to keep the lights on? Like, is that all he's doing it for? Or does he genuinely believe when he turns up to events that he's going to get through more than a game? Because he doesn't look like it, but he always kind of has that laid-back stroll around anyway.
Yeah, I'm genuinely not sure where it is at the moment. I'm nitpicking here on things as well, and it was noted, and me and Dan spoke about it, that the fact we had double walk-ons in the afternoon, then when certain players were in the evening, we had single walk-ons. That was a bugbear.
Yeah. I mean,
double walk-ons anyway.
I would say for the sake of 30 seconds, so both of them have a walk on it.
Unless you're James Wade.
You took the words out of my mouth. That's exactly where I was going with it.
I'd give James Wade 2 walk-ons. I'd let him get to the stage and then go to the back again and do it twice. I'd give him.
I'd rather he got to the stage, went to the back again, and didn't bother throwing a dart. To be honest.
Just stop there. No, I'd give him 2. I'd give him 2 because I think it's, first of all, I quite like the song, and second of all, I love how much it shits everyone up and pisses people off. So just for pure trolling experience, I'd like him. Yeah, I'd like it if he got to the stage, went all the way back, and started doing more autographs. 100%.
Ideas for fuck's sake.
Yeah, Anthony raises a good point. I'm going to star that, and we'll come back to that once we finish the Players' Championships. But look, as the tournament went on, it was looking like probably from Saturday morning that once he didn't get beat at best of 6, or for first of 6, sorry, the writing was on the wall, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's the consistency, isn't it? Like, over the longer format, he doesn't have the peaks and troughs that anyone else does.
no, and this is and you know, everyone had said, and I suppose we said it for balance and in fairness, we did say about both Luke Humphries and Luke Littler. We said the level that those two are able to achieve, you cannot get them unless you get them over the short format, because they will just play too well over a longer period of time, and you will peak and trough more than they will, and they'll have you. And one of them got caught early, and the other one didn't. But then that consistency from Littler, the repetitive nature that he forced people to basically just accept that unless they are bringing their A game, unless they are going to chuck consistent 12 dart legs, then they're not even going to hold. They're not going to hold. They're not going to live with him unless they're showing, you know, consistent 12, 13 dart legs, because it was, you know, the averages as he moved through, you know, 104, 107, 102, 108. It was relentless as he worked his way through, and it never looked in doubt. And what I felt was that it was his to lose, because I didn't see enough from anyone else. I did keep thinking that Gezi had it in him, because Gezi hadn't put that massive performance in. You know, we hadn't seen a big average run. We hadn't seen him really blow anybody away. But what we had seen was him win matches, and that's obviously very important. But he'd won matches, and, you know, one average in 90, one average in 97. I know we had the big one against Bielewski, but he wasn't amazing over a long format. But we know Gezi's got it in him. And I thought, well, Gezi might be able to bring that and challenge Luke. But then, obviously, when they came, Gezi did. He turns up, he comes with his 102 average, and Luke says, there you are, there's 108.5. Deal with that.
Yeah.
Too good.
Yeah, it was phenomenal, as for the want of a better word from the great Dutchman. But like you say, in that semi-final, Gezi threw the kitchen sink at him and more, and it wasn't enough. The kid looked up, smiled at him, and carried on going.
Yeah, and he just didn't look phased all weekend, did he? And we saw him on and off the hockey, and wherever you saw him, he didn't look phased at all. He just looked completely like he was going to smoothly just keep working his way. He didn't get flustered. I don't think we saw any, because, you know, there were things that went wrong in his game. You know, nothing. It wasn't perfect at all time. We saw him having to switch off the doubles a bit. We saw him switch away from tops and tens because that wasn't going. But what we didn't see from him was we didn't see him get visibly frustrated. We didn't see him let that out. He seemed very composed, very focused, completely in the zone.
Like, so calm throughout the weekend. There was none of sort of what we saw last week where he lost his head with the crowd immediately or anything like that. He was just looked like nothing was going to bother him this weekend. He knew he was going to walk away with it, and that was it.
I think once Luke Humphries went out, I think it's a different tournament for Littler to look at. I do think, because we know they've had their back and forth. And yes, you know, he knows he can beat him because he keeps doing so. But I do think when he looks at the bracket and sees that Luke's gone out in the first round, he has to approach it differently. He naturally would, because his biggest threat is gone day one. And I do think that helped him relax a little bit.
Yeah, it was really interesting. And look, I suppose Nathan Aspinall again's had an incredible weekend. Back in the top 16. I'm gonna ask the question in a minute. Has he probably done enough now, as long as he doesn't fluff his lines at the Worlds for the road show? That it's quite remarkable from Aspinall that I think his season is very underappreciated at the moment. When you look at the quarterfinals he's made on TV, the Euro Tour he's won, or the Euro Tour, sorry, that he's won, that I actually think he's had a very good season now, and getting to the final, back in the top 16, he'll go to the Worlds full of confidence. And I think in the quarterfinal and semi-final in particular is the best I've seen Nathan Aspinall's game look in a long time. Just the whole thing on stage, the throw looked good. The 180s were huge. The celebrations were there. He just looked so at ease with his game.
Enjoying himself, didn't he? Like I said, the throw was smooth. It was a lot better than we've seen it look at times, and he just looked like he was really enjoying it up there. Like he was giving it plenty, but at the right time, nothing sort of over the top. And that semi-final, like Jermaine might as well not have been there. He just didn't get given an opportunity.
Oh no, he was remarkable. It was like Watamina was playing well, and Nathan was like, haha, not on this shift. Yeah. Not a chance, sir. Are we doing great, Sherman? Good to have you in, buddy. Yeah, it was just so good from him. And like you say, there's a lot of positives from this weekend. But Anthony's question was, we've got a few more on there. He says, a firm believer that the Players' Championship final really needs to be elevated to a much higher status. By the way, we talk about the PDC up in the prize money and so on. And yeah, look, I kind of agree with that, to be fair, because the players have had to qualify for this across the season. We saw Michael Van Gerwen not qualify. Littler, Aspinall and Humphreys were all in danger of not qualifying at one point. That I actually think that perhaps this is a little underrated as a tournament, that perhaps we don't take it as seriously as perhaps we should.
I agree. I think there is a and I think it suffers in the way probably that the UK Open does a little bit as well. I think, if I'm really blunt, I think there's some snobbery about the location. I think people look at the location and they think it's, some sort of like side attraction, and it's not. It's one of in another sport. If you look at other sports where you have a tour, that runs over the course of the year that culminates in an event, a big deal is made of that event. It generally, and there's lots of individual sports where that's the case. Golf and tennis always spring to mind when we talk about pro tour style. Yeah. And then you have this, really, really important key thing at the end. And I think that in a way, like it almost has all the ingredients, because the format, I think, is very watchable. I think it's very watchable, the format, because first of all, it's confined to a whole weekend, because like Christ, even for people like us, running a week-long tournament, it's a ball ache, isn't it? Because life gets in the way. You can't watch everything. You can't commit to, and you have this on this night and that on that night, and it becomes a bit disjointed. Condensing it like that into a weekend and being able to consume it, where you've got these short form action, anything can happen type games. You've got that mixture in footage. If we could fucking show more of it, please, in room 2, because I think
why these days is it not a full stream of
and then even when we get it, well, I tell you what, one of the things that, and I know we're going to see very different production next year, right? We're still going to see it on ITV, but very different production. There was moments where we had a game on board 2 that we could see blurry in the background while Ned Bolton was on the telly telling us that there was a game being played on board 2.
Stupid.
And I just think, fucking cut to it, please. Can we just see that? I can see that there's a game on. I really want to watch it. Can you just put it on the screen, please? And I would like to see a bit more of that of coverage, but I just think it's so unique. And I'm not sure how you can elevate it other than just throwing money at it. One of the things you can do is you can make sure that all of the players really want to be there and treat it with importance. Because when you have got players who are publicly going out and saying, I think I might dip that one next year, you've immediately lost a huge amount of credibility for that tournament.
Yeah.
Huge amount.
I agree. Well, that's kind of my next point, that to do that, and there's a little bit of snobbery here as well from, shall we say, some darts folks. If this tournament was on Sky, would we treat it with a little bit more respect?
I don't know. I think we'd definitely be able to see both boards if it was.
Yeah.
Definitely one would be at least on the red button. But whether we treat it, maybe we do. We do a little bit look down on the ITV events at time, don't we? Especially some of the darts fans. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know how you elevate it because, right, if you just up the prize fund, the top players still won't give that much of a fuck unless you can up it to a stupid amount of money.
Yeah, unless you're going to stick 300 grand on it or something like that.
Yeah, like it's now $1 million, the same as the world, right? Yeah, we're interested, but
everyone
if you're just going to add 20 grand to it or something, then no one's bothered.
No, I genuinely think it's frustrating that it's not, because I think as a concept, I think it should be really important because it's the culmination. Like, how can you do something 30 times over the year that feeds into a seeding and a qualification process for a tournament that people are happy not going to? I think it doesn't ring right, and I think that.
Do you think it should, when it comes down to that, then, and we're looking at the seeding that you get from it, like if you make that top 8 over the year, should you be like coming in at quarterfinal stage? Would that elevate it? Would that make it more of an event?
I think the way to elevate it, and this is going to upset a lot of people, but I stand by it, and I think
I know what you're going to say, you knobhead.
I am, but I think it's coming as well that the top 16 in the world will be in it.
That doesn't elevate it. That makes it worse.
But it guarantees the big names there.
Yeah, which is exactly the same as this year with plus Michael Van Gerwen.
Yeah, but literally the only difference.
But what I'm saying is, at one point, Humphreys, Littler, and Aspinall almost didn't make it. Humphreys and Littler are already threatening not to do Pro Tours next year. And we're going to speak about him more. But if Boy Wonder isn't there, then the tournament is going to have even less credibility.
Now, the only way I can force myself to find that acceptable, and I have to stretch, I have to go on some sort of thought experiment, is that if we just accept, barring one bloke, the top 16 are going to get there anyway. So realistically, they are going to be there, aren't they? Other than one fella. So there's only one person difference. Now then if that means that the big boys are not showing up to anywhere near as many of the Pro Tour events, am I then happier with that because it creates far more opportunities for those lower down the chain to pick up some more money? That's the only way I make my peace with it, is that there's more earning opportunities. And then, especially without first round losers money and things like that, there are more people that aren't going to bump into Luke Littler, Luke Humphreys, Gerwin Price first round and get dick sent home with no money. And that's the only way I can make my peace with it, is to think, well, it actually creates over the course of the year quite a bit more earning opportunities for the low ranked players. And I'll take that.
Yeah, maybe. How about, I'm going wild here. Do it. I'm trying to make it interesting. Should we go down some sort of route that, like, the whole year and where you finish, like, if you're in the top 8, top 16, whatever, let's throw a handicap in there. Like, not physically, we're not going to start maiming people, but like
breaking people's fingers.
If you say let's look at the let me pull up the standings.
I have long since, just while you do that, I am on, because when we get asked all the time, and it comes round in constant whenever we do question time, people say, what would you have? And someone says, I'd have a cricket tournament, and we should do more of this, and we should do more of that. I'd have a half-hit championships. No, what we need to start doing is a televised tournament that involves some form of handicap system.
Yeah. So Gerwin Price has finished top of the Pro Tour Order of Merit. So Gerwin Price starts every game with plus 2.5 legs. Right. And then same as then the rest of your top 8, so the other 7, they start with 1.5, and then your top 16 start with 0.5. And you play best of 10 rather than best of 11.
Oh, I'd go the other way, mate. I'd take the world rankings and handicap them on their world rankings. So I'd immediately give Luke Littler minus 2.5.
Yeah, but I think for this, though, you've got to get rewarded for what you've done over the year as well on the Pro Tour.
Yeah, maybe.
So if you're, even better, if you're world number 1 and you've played 2 Pro Tours and you're at the bottom of the Pro Tour Order of Merit, then not only are you getting 2.5 for your world number 1 status, you get another 2.5
Yeah, you're getting double handicapped. You're gonna have to whitewash everybody. No, I do think what it needs to stand out more, because whilst we all find the format quite fun, we are the inner circle of darts geeks, aren't we? That will watch whatever darts is on in whatever format it is. So I get when people see, the Worlds and they see set play and they see the match play and they see this, long tournament over the course of the week, really long games in this beautiful venue, and they get that. And then you see other, we see a double-in tournament, and then we see a tournament with a round-robin stage. And when you describe this one to people and they say, oh, what really stands out? You go, well, it's like a knockout tournament. Oh yeah, well, it's like the first to six, like they do the rest of the year. What's special about it? We quite like that seaside town that they do it in. You run out of ways to sell it, I think, don't you?
Yeah, I've seen there've been a couple of comments battering old Minehead in the old chat room. I'm not having any.
Better not be.
None of that on this show.
That's a quick way to get back. I tell you what, there is. And so what I discovered, I'd not been to Minehead. Like, I had been to Minehead several times, but what I'd done is I'd driven into Minehead, driven onto the Butlin site, and then driven off 4 days later. That's my entire experience of Minehead. Until, of course, this year, when I got to explore, some of the things that it had to offer. I went to a particularly good Indian restaurant. The cafe in Morrison's is quite good. The Tesco's has a Yo Sushi counter that stays open really late. I found a lot of positives in Minehead this week.
Well, we'll be visiting that Indian restaurant when it comes back round in March. Then
we certainly will. Oh, I can recommend the Emperor's Choice. That was the curry I had off the menu, and the Emperor knocked it out the park with that one. He did a particularly good. The Emperor's Choice following a prawn puri. Very good.
Yeah, I felt sorry for the chef that running down the front.
The chef that night thought he was going to have an easy Thursday night. No.
Yeah, I think those guys in there don't normally get busy on a Thursday, and to put it lightly. So once we arrived, of course, it was a who's who of the darting world. It was a autograph hunter's wet dream in that Indian restaurant that night. It was a sight to behold.
That's just people trying to get to you two.
That was just me. I was signing. I was signing tits. I was signing anything. It was not nailed down. I was signing it.
I tell you what, it was quite funny. Obviously, we went with the ITV lot. Was Mace, and we were on the table next to us were the idiots from the DRA, and I won't repeat what Mace called them as he walked past them. But
not
like Mace to be un-PC at any point.
Honest is the word I'd go with.
Yeah.
Accurate.
But also, Dan, I know your love of Minehead, but now you've done it from my point of view. You can also now see why I dislike Minehead, can't you?
So yeah, and again, when we're there and we're working, it was obviously Phil and I have some different responsibilities, and did I feel sorry? I mean, I didn't feel sorry for him. I haven't got it in my heart to feel sorry for him, but yeah, it was. I can see it's not as the level of convenience that Minehead offers someone trying to perform the duties that Phil does is like I genuinely hadn't realised because Cam, you've been there with me before, and we've sort of drifted around from the main room into Reds.
Oh yeah, the convenience for us is absolutely ideal.
Oh, it's absolutely spot on. And I hadn't realised that, like, the lack of ability to move around, like, if all of the convenience in Butlins at Minehead, from a darts point of view, like, ends at the stage. Like, once you get past the board, it's beyond inconvenient, and everywhere is like a quarter of a mile walk in the rain to like. But there must be a toilet. No, because you can't get through the door to that toilet because that's blocked to here, and that toilet's for that, and that toilet's only for the right. And so it's 3/4 of a mile that way in order to get here or there. But it's made me love the place, no less at all. If anything, it's
more, if anything. Yeah. Now
now that I have seen the trauma that Phil has to go through, even to perform a simple task like a visit to the toilet, I will enjoy in March sitting in that Reds room with a pint of beer, even more. knowing more. It didn't rain that much. It was actually sunny for a little while. I thought it was I mean, I was quite alarmed, to be honest. I assumed that there'd been some sort of, it was a harbinger of the apocalypse or something, sun shining in Minehead. But yeah, it was a smashing weekend.
One thing that was interesting, and you would have picked it up if you were watching and followed social media at the same time, that the very not on the same page from the ITV production team and the PDC, from the point of them saying goodbye every other link, that this is our last weekend, making it think to the world that darts was leaving ITV, when really it's not.
Strange, wasn't it?
And then the PDC, I'm gonna the admin, I know which one sent it, was like literally at the end of the tournament, don't worry everyone, the Masters is back on ITV in big letters in January. It's everything seemed a little bit disconnected this weekend.
Well, it was. There was a very heavy emphasis. And don't get me wrong, like I get, you know, we've all left jobs. Like we've all, you know, done a job for a long time and then gone and done another job and done, you know, and yeah, it's a bit sad. Yeah, it is sort of, you know, sometimes depends what you're going to do next, doesn't it? You know, especially if you don't have a say in the matter, you know, if someone else has made that decision. But I think, yeah, the idea that it was very much presented a lot like this is the end. This is the end, folks. Like you won't see darts again. Like you'll miss darts, won't you? Oh, what will you do?
They might as well have said, unless you pay Sky a load of money, you're not seeing anything.
Yeah, what will you do without darts from now on? And it was a bit like that. And then, and I think the PDC have had to work unnecessarily hard to try and remind everybody that, like, actually, there's still quite a bit of darts on free-to-air TV next year, and there's a good number of tournaments. And in recent years, more has been done to increase the worthiness of those. You know, the Masters, you could argue 100% is a bigger tournament than it was a few years ago. Now that it's ranked and we're seeing, you know, I think you can argue that that's a more prestigious tournament that remains on free-to-air TV. The message definitely hasn't got through because, like Marcus has mentioned in the comments there, and I saw a lot of it. Obviously, I was doing a lot of socials through, like, for online darts over the course of the weekend. So I spent a lot of time in front of X and Facebook and everything else, and you could see lots of people in the comments like moaning and complaining and sad that it wasn't going to be on free-to-air TV anymore because they were reading the endless goodbye of ITV as, oh dear, I'm not going to see darts because I don't have Sky Sports. And I think that was slightly mishandled, I think.
Yeah, it was interesting. Before we move on, Gian van Veen goes back-to-back in the World Youth, and Bo played her part in a great final. But again, I think was it 6 darts she missed for 4 all, and ultimately that was the killer leg for Bo. But again, great signs that she's played okay, nowhere near her best, but still averaged 95 or whatever it was all the way through it. That she's going to be a big danger next year. But again,
Gian van Veen, didn't she? She was competitive. She played well in patches. She lost the action a little bit in patches. It felt like sort of like early on there were a couple of legs at like 1-1 and 2-1 there where it went a little bit ropey, and then like I say the same after she missed them for 4 all. But she was right in there and right in that game with someone who right now is one of the best players on tour. So it's all good signs.
Yeah, 100.
Am I right? Because if he does so, he'd be the first person ever to do it. But he has got one more year at it, hasn't he?
I think this was his last year.
He's 23 at the minute. He's not 24 until next April. So he's under 24.
He might have one more year then.
Yeah,
I think, well, have you got to be under 24 when the Dev Tour starts that year? I know he's obviously not playing Dev Tour, but you know what I mean? Haven't you got to be under 24 when the Dev Tour starts?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Start of the year, isn't it?
So yeah, he could be the first person to win 3 on a row. So it's only Dimitri and him that have defended this crown, this title. I think the World Youth deserves a bigger stage than in between semi-finals and finals of the Players' Championship. I'd like it to go back to Ali Pali.
Yeah, I think it should be there as well. It doesn't make sense for it to be on this weekend for me. Like, if you're playing the World Championships, surely you play the World Youth Championships alongside.
Yeah, I'd like to see the final back at Ali Pally.
Yeah, and I also think it's a tournament where, I mean, let's be brutal. Obviously, Jan is still eligible to play, but you're not really going to expect your World Youth Champion or your World Youth finalist to necessarily already be in Minehead. It's not out of convenience, is it? Because you generally wouldn't expect your if you go back over the years of World Youth Champions and look at which one of them qualified for the Players' Championship finals the same year, you won't find many. And therefore, it's a very inconvenient place to get to. London, no matter where you live in the world, getting to London is far easier. So, yeah.
Yeah, the lack of an international airport or 3-4 is slightly inconvenient.
I think, well, is it not a remnant of because they used to play the knockout in Reds in the afternoon, didn't they, on the Sunday?
That has been done, yeah.
And so that makes it quite convenient if you play that. If that's where the rest of the tournament is taking place, and you just have the final, you then move it into the room next door. That's very convenient. Yeah, but that wasn't convenient. That's not convenient for Bo Greaves to travel there for the absolute miles away from anywhere.
For 11 at most.
Look, we never duck stuff on the show, and we won't duck this either. Lewis Jones, Ludog, was getting a lot of stick at the weekend at times. I have to say, look, did he make mistakes? Yes. But at times, I actually thought there was a couple of good ones as well. Or yes, yes, there were mistakes from him, and you can't hide from that. But I will say also that Johnny Mack makes mistakes.
Yeah,
as well. Look, mistakes happen, and look, is he perfect? No, but for me personally, have I seen improvement from the Grand Slam to here? Yes, I have.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I think it's one of those with him, isn't it? Really, like he is in a very, very tough position. Like following Johnny Mack, someone that's been there and doing it for that length of time and doing it as well as he does it for as long as he's done it. You're on a hiding to nothing, taking that job straight after him, aren't you? And Correct. It's going to take time until people get used to it being you rather than him, because as much as anything, that's part of the reason he gets stick, because he doesn't sound like Johnny Mack. In time, he'll put his own spin on it, and it will become better as he does it more.
He's David Moyes at Man United, isn't he? It's an impossible task. It's a completely impossible task. Like, and it's all I'd say on it. Like, I spent a bit of time with Lewis this weekend, and I noticed a very, very marked difference from the Slam to the Players' Championship finals. And I genuinely know how hard he is working in order to continue to improve. So then I think, well, I see somebody improve and go from there to there, but I know how hard they're working for that. And if they're going to continue to put that in, then they'll go from there to there. I think, what I've said all along is you are incredibly naive if you just expect somebody, as our friend says, you can't practice shitting yourself.
Correct.
And if you to expect someone just to walk onto a stage, first time, having not done it before, and knock everything out the park, and for everyone to go, wow, this is amazing. It's never going to happen. Like, you need an opportunity to do something in order to hone your craft and get better at it. And like, I think he's working really hard at it. I think he puts an awful lot of work into his preparation, and I think he's making huge steps forward. And I think
in a very short space of time as well.
Yeah. Now the other thing, along with sort of practice, if you like in preparation, sometimes just doing something more and more and more often. And obviously with the Worlds coming up, we've got a huge amount of games, and I know John McDonald is going to be there, but I'm going to assume that there's going to be some mix of that, and it's going to be shared around a little bit. Like, we hear an awful lot of like And it's a bit boring. And I think this is probably a bit naive. There's a lot of people saying, give it to that person, give that person that job. Well, I mean, again, what that doesn't do is think anywhere about that person, because what if that other person has, maybe perhaps a full-time job, a career that they quite enjoy and are successful at? What if they've got a family that doesn't want to relocate? What if they've got, any number of reasons why that person might not themselves? You can't just say make them what by force. What do we just kidnap him and throw him on?
Give it Dan Simpson.
Give it, yeah. And it's so I think there's a lot of give it to this person, give it to Swish Phil, give it to the well, it doesn't always work like that. And there's lots of other things that are involved, not just give it to that person. Oh, all right, okay, fine. Otherwise, we'd have no unemployment, would we? We just wander around saying, "You do that job, you do that one. You're on the bins next week. Go on, get on with it." It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, 100%. And like I say, I saw a big improvement as well.
Massive improvement
from the slam to here.
What I think we've started to see, and it genuinely it comes over time. It doesn't happen overnight. Is he is starting to develop. Like John McDonald has an individual way of saying every player's name. Is it the way that player refers to themselves? Not always. Is it the way that other people say their name? Not always. But John McDonald has an identity of the way that he phrases every player.
Yeah.
And Lewis is working. We are starting to see that. And we saw over the course of this weekend where he's announced the same player 2 or 3 times, we've seen an establishment of a cadence on a phrase, and he is building something. And it doesn't happen overnight. But I'm quite looking forward to seeing what we see in January, March next year. It's.
Yeah. Someone asked who the MC was on stage 2. It was a guy called Rich Williams, does stadium announcing at Headingley and one of the Leeds. I can't remember if it was Ellen Road or Leeds Rhinos, but one of the. So he's done stadium announcing before for that. Right. Should we dive in? Is it time that we go to the Palace? Because whilst we've been talking, I've been working on the sly as well. So we've got.
I thought you might have done.
Don't get me wrong.
Now that the slide's finished, probably a good time to. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. They look horrific because I've just ripped the PDC ones that weren't big enough, and I've just put some green either side. But we've got something on screen.
What we probably need to just announce in the chat room. Don't be that dickhead, right? Phil's been typing this up whilst we've been on air. There will be spelling mistakes.
No, it's not. I've ripped the PDC ones, but it's the bit either side.
There will be spelling mistakes. I stand by it.
It's the bit either sides that look shit. I just filled them with green blocks because I didn't have time to do anything else.
Yeah, this is where you go. Well, he's not as good as that other person that was doing it before.
Yeah. But before we dive in, look, this is one of the most exciting days of the year. The draw for the World Championships. Look, everything is now on the line. There is no second chances here. We've got the 128 field. It is set, and destiny awaits. £1 million will be won on January the 3rd at Alexandra Palace. The fact that 2 players are going to play one game of darts for £1 million is, quite frankly, fucking balmy, and I love it.
It's utterly ridiculous, and we love to see it.
Oh yes, we do.
Yeah, absolutely mental. We are going to look at it in chat room, and you are going to join along with us. We're not going to go in massively because obviously we've got the Live Lounge Live coming up, but we are going to scan over each quarter, who's in danger, who's not, and so on. So, as if by magic, quarter number 1 will appear on screen now.
Oh, well done, Philip. In bracket order.
Utterly brilliant, huh?
Do you know what? So, before we dissect it, right, and before we talk about it, like I've got a question for both of you because we had a chat about it on the stream this afternoon. Is what like just a tie, one tie that was your like? I know what Phil's is because his will definitely just relate to what will reflect numbers, right? But I want you to take numbers and clicks and views.
Wait, let's come back then, right?
Because I know that is Littler and Fallon, right? That gets the most interactions and clicks and follow. What did you want? Tell me a game that you wanted to see in the draw. Dream draw. What did you want? Do you want me to tell you mine? What? Because we did this on the stream.
Yeah.
I wanted to see, and I thought this is the perfect end to a career, because if you get this and you get this draw, then you get a montage, you get a video montage, and people make a genuine story of it. I wanted round 1, Luke Littler against Paul Lim, because I thought it was a beautiful way to
see. That's not where I thought you were going then, because I like that idea a lot, but for me, I think you want Paul Lim against Raymond van Barneveld, don't you?
I just don't think it get
for a montage, because then you can have and basically both of them say, if we lose this game, it's our last game.
Yeah, but I think no one cares. I think Sky don't make a montage for that.
Maybe.
They go, next up is Ray and Phil, Paul. That's it. Like, I think that's what you get. I think if you'd have got Paul Lim and Luke Littler, I think you would have seen the old 9 data footage, and you would have seen one 9 data like edited in with another 9 data, and I just think they could have done something quite beautiful for that. And that, dream draw. That's what I wanted. That was my pick.
Right. I've got a few ways of looking at this. Now, for pure clicks and numbers, you are right. I wanted Fallon Sherrick against Luke Littler because numbers would have broken the internet. Let's be fair. Not just ours, everyone's, because that would have been absolutely insane. For sick and twisted reasons.
Don't say it.
Either Alexis Toilo against Adam Gavlas or Brian Eagle or Mickey Mance.
No, absolutely not. We want to finish the Worlds before 2028.
Could you?
The crowd are all just sat eating Christmas dinner. 2 weeks into the match.
No.
No,
More gravy on that.
absolutely not.
Everyone in the crowd's just got a long beard when it cuts out to a crowd shot. We've had to change commentators, I'm afraid.
Yeah, if we're going that stupid, I want Jose de Souza against Johnny Clayton with no scoreboard.
You've got to better than no scoreboard.
No, they've got a scoreboard, but no one telling them. Yeah,
a chalkboard, and they've got to mark it themselves.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell!
No, they can't. There's no one there to ask for what they've got left, or anything. Just let them play on.
Oh,
right. That's silliness out the way. We can get on with it now.
Yeah. Mace, good evening, my friend. Hope you and Charlotte got home okay. Pleasure seeing you at the weekend, as always.
Anyone got any jobs good? I think that Curry House could do with an extra few spare pairs of hands if you're. They were definitely struggling for staff.
Right, let's go quarter number 1 then. So there it is. That is the first quarter of the World Championship. It does contain the number 1 seed, Luke Littler. And let's be brutally honest, it's quite a nice quarter.
Yeah, he's not going to be too concerned, I don't think.
No.
No, there's.
Dan would be concerned for him because Chris Dobie's in there, and obviously he thinks Chris Dobie's the best player that's ever picked up a dart. But
I'm not sure he gets out of the first round at this stage, mate. And as long as they maintain the rule in darts that you can only win if you hit the doubles, then that lad's at fucking risk at the moment, mate. Obviously, being in there with Gezi is a big worry. Specifically to Luke, and if we're not talking about other people in danger and things, but obviously, any time that you are going to bump into Gezi Price before you get to a semi-final is dangerous, because Gezi is always dangerous, no matter what, no matter who you are, no matter what time, no matter what stage of the tournament it is. Gezi poses a risk, and we know he's got a game in him. We know he can turn it on, and especially in a set play format, because
set play that he doesn't like.
Yeah, but he's so bloody
Even though
good
it's his
at
best
it.
format, yeah.
He's so bloody good at it, and it's because Luke, whilst Luke can maintain it, Gezi can rattle off three, and he can nick things, and he can grab one here and there, and that's what picks up sets. So yeah, the only thing that I think is a risk in there is Gezi. I think there's one man capable of beating Littler on that Alexandra Palace stage. That's the most competitive game in there.
Yeah, and if I'm being brutally honest, right now I don't see a way that we don't have a go in Price Luke Littler quarterfinal on January the 1st. Just looking at the players that have ended up in that, I don't see a scenario where we don't have Gezi against Luke on New Year's Day.
No,
I'm without the risk of being boring, I'm kind of with you.
It's very different. It's very difficult, and I know we'll talk about seeds, but like where you've got that section there, and you've got Cullen, and you've got Heta and Rob Cross. and Ryan Joyce, with them being your seeds, that's like a selection of the most out of form players that are seeded.
Correct.
Dobie, obviously, we know Dobie's an elite player, but he is struggling to get the job done and get over the line. And I think there is a there are a number of seeds in danger in that section. A number of seeds and a number of qualifiers that have a decent chance at getting a win, but they have no chance of threatening Price or Littler.
Yeah, I completely agree. Section 2 is interesting because I think this is wide open, especially that bottom half, which we'll come on to more in a minute. But again, players that aren't playing, or the seeds in this one aren't playing well. Bunting, performances are good, but is losing games. Dirk, you never know what you're going to get. Schindler, again, steady but not spectacular. Ryan Searle, when he's on, but is he on enough? Probably not. Johnny Clayton in a poor run of form. Michael Smith could barely walk at the weekend. Ross Smith has been good without being spectacular. Dave Chisnell in no form whatsoever. When that's your seeds in Section 2, you've got to think someone has got a real opportunity here.
That's your upset section, isn't it? That's the one where you're looking for someone to come through and end up there.
Well, look, this is all if, buts, and maybes, and call me stupid if you want. But that little section, Ross Smith against Andreas Harrison, Thibaut Tricol against Saseki, the Japanese player, Chisnell against Fallon, Pietrezco against De Souza. That is an absolute minefield.
Yeah.
Well, I can't decide if it is a minefield or if it's just the winner of Ross Smith and Andreas Harrison moves through that section.
Possibly, yes.
That's, I sort of think, is it a minefield or is it there's just the winner of that first game? Because if Andreas if we didn't know what we know about Andreas Harrison, if we hadn't have seen and been exposed to him, what he's done elsewhere, and he's just a qualifier, then I do think we look at that and say Ross Smith at 80% deals with the rest of them, especially given where Chisnell's game is at the minute.
I think Pietrezco's a danger of quite easily winning that, to be honest.
But he's also got an implosion in him when the crowd gets on his back.
So I'm not sure he's got the bottle. I'm not sure he's got the bottle.
He doesn't need it. He's only playing De Souza, Chisnell.
Well, that's where it'll go wrong for him, I think, because I think Fallon beats Chisnell. I really do. I think Fallon beats Chisnell at the moment. I think Pietrezco beats De Souza. And I just think the crowd are going to absolutely brutalise him.
Remember when he played Bo at the Slam and he almost single-handedly jumped into the crowd to start fights?
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for
that. I'll tell you what, though. I've seen darts crowds for a lot of years. I'm not backing him coming out healthy. Like he's not.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I don't think he wins the fights, but there's some of them in there that needed to at him, let's be honest.
There's some absolute brutal ties in there. Look, Johnny Clayton may play himself into a bit of form here. Yes, he's lost early on TV recently. But again, if you're asking him to beat Adam Lipscomb and then the winner of Dom Taylor, Oscar Lukasiak, and then potentially an injured Michael Smith.
I think Johnny Clayton's
all of a sudden
your favourite for this quarter.
Johnny could be playing himself back into some form.
Definitely. I mean, he's not played badly this year either. Like he's played well on TV, and I certainly fancy him a lot more than I fancy Bunting at the moment.
Well, I think the risk, in that section, without really overanalyzing it, because we know the game he has in him and what he can produce, regardless of what we've seen too lately for him, and the risk is Schindler.
Yeah.
Because Schindler can turn Bunting over, and then if he gets to a quarter final, then Schindler's like he's game, and I think he is in that section as well. When you look at who Schindler's going to probably have to run through to get to that Stephen Bunting match in the fourth round, you sort of look and go, well, he should be winning those matches. And I think Schindler, on the back of 3 wins, could do Bunting. He's got the game for it.
I mean, Ryan Searle? Are we looking at Ryan Searle?
Look,
again, he's not seen a lot, but
he's in a lovely little section.
He is.
Recency bias
section.
That's the problem.
I think that's it. It is. We've not seen a lot recently, but yeah, he could very, very easily run through this section as well.
Yeah, 100%. Section number 3 of this draw is the number 2 seed, Cool Hand Luke Humphreys. Again, it's looking at this section, and unlike the last one that was a minefield for players not playing well, this is the other way. There is some players in here that are banging form right now.
Yeah.
I look at James Wade is playing well. Jan van Veen playing beautifully at the moment. Nathan Aspinall, Wessel Nyman, Luke himself. Manlock Lung against Ricky Evans will be an absolute.
That's a rough draw for Ricky in there as well, isn't it?
Yeah, that's not a nice draw. Charlie Manby against Cameron Menzies.
Lovely game that.
Matt Campbell against Adam Savada. I love that tie. The North Americans won't.
It guarantees them one through.
Exactly. You say that, but it guarantees them one through to the second round, doesn't it? And they're essentially playing one win is Matt Campbell's card secured. He needs one win to secure his card. So that it's a big game. I do think that where we looked at that bottom section on the last one there, it's virtually impossible for me to comprehend Jan van Veen not coming through that bottom section there.
No, I'm with you.
I can't see
unless Jimmy finds it out of somewhere, because he has obviously got those levels. But I can't see it on anything recent.
No, I think Darren Beveridge beats him.
Just out of interest, Darren Beveridge's card is on the line, as we know. Now,
see, I think that's a bit of a problem for him.
It is. No, he needs to get.
He needs to get round to round 4.
I was just saying how far he needs. He needs to get to round 4. So, look, because I could see him beating Dimitri. I could then see him beating the winner of Razma, but then he's going to run into Van Veen.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure how far he needed to get, whether it was round 3 or round 4.
No, he's got to get to round 4. I think if he gets to round 3, that only takes him
to 89. He's still below the threshold.
Especially because, and especially don't forget, because everyone else, or
Quite a few in there are going to add
A
money
few
on.
of them are going to pick a few quid up, aren't they? A few, not everyone, but a few of them are going to pick a few quid up.
Yeah.
But I think Beveridge definitely beats Dimitri Vandenberg. Dimitri's a mile away.
That top section, are we looking at Nathan Aspinall, Luke Humphreys on a collision course in round 4?
I think it's brutal, that top section.
Probably.
I think it's horrible.
Like, yeah, I would think you could say probably. I do think like Nyman's always one of them. Like he's got the levels to do it, and if he could just all of a sudden realise how to finish a game off, could upset it. But realistically, you've got to look at it and think it's probably those two.
Yeah, I agree. Right, section number 4, the bottom section. And again, this is a very mixed bag of some players playing well, some players not.
If I'm Josh Rock, I'm rubbing my hands together here. Absolutely rubbing my hands together.
Well, I think the only man in that section happier than Josh Rock is Danny Noppert.
Yeah.
Who also, I think, at about 75% of what we've seen from him recently pisses through that little section. Without any... I think you've maybe got a couple of other risks above. I think there's a few unknown quantities in there. And I think... What do I think? But Connor Scott could do something,
Yeah.
He's such a good player. And he's got such good levels. If he can
Gary
find
Anderson on a world stage, second round.
It's a story, though, isn't it?
It is, but
But Gary has been gettable, hasn't he?
He has.
And and not only is he being gettable, but he's being gettable by players who haven't reached the level. It hasn't took the level Connor Scott's capable of to beat Gary recently. You've been able to get him playing decently well and taking your chances.
You have. I agree. But the interesting one in this little section for me is Michael Van Gerwen.
That's a surprise.
No.
Why change the habit of a lifetime?
You stunned me.
There are concerns over his form. We know that. Having missed the players, I thought he played okay in the Slam. I thought he lost to a good Dane Oppett performance. Was he brilliant? No. Was he poor? No. It was a 97 average from Van Gerwen. However, I don't see a lot to stop him getting to round 4. And then all of a sudden, he's won 3 games. And this is very similar to last year because no one really fancied MVG to get to the final. Let's be fair. No one, not even me. I didn't see Michael Van Gerwen getting to the final last year.
No.
However, if he puts in 3 good performances, finds himself in round 4, all of a sudden, he's fancying a quarterfinal, semi-final, and so on. Yeah. And he faces the Japanese lad. I'm not going to butcher his name. And then if he comes through that, O'Connor or Kachuk, he would fancy that. And then either one of Peter Wright, Nolan van Leuven, Kim Huybrechts, or Arno Merck for a place in round 4.
Yeah.
If you could have handpicked your draw, that's not far off what you'd go for.
No, I don't tend to disagree, to be honest. It's sort of all right, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's all right as it can be because there are a lot of very, very, very good dart players in this bracket. And the way that the seedings work is that sooner or later you have to play one of them. Or you could
at some point you're going to run into a seed. It's how nice it is up until that point. And when you're the other seed in your section for Michael Van Gerwen is Peter Wright, let's be fair, it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
Oh, God, of course it is. Of course it is. And that's it. You're not, because we've said this for, the lots of the players talk about the fear factor. They talk about the fear factor, don't they? Phil Taylor had it. Michael Van Gerwen had it, is what they say. Luke Littler has it now. I still maintain, as our friend says, you can't practice shitting yourself. And just, if you're a qualifier, if you're a debutant, if you're making your debut on the Alexandra Palace stage, if you're not fully used to playing on a big stage, on TV, under pressure, with the presence of Michael Van Gerwen bounding around the stage with you,
it's very, very difficult to do.
It's very, very difficult. And you've got to remember how comfortable, Mike, the amount of night, Premier League nights, big arenas, the amount of times he's done this dance before, that, when he gets up there and he's playing qualifiers and he's playing people who, and let's say you get someone goes on a run and Connor Scott and Adam Hunt, something like that, like they are rabbits in the headlights and they need to produce something genuinely spectacular, because Michael does just keep. There's been so much criticism of his game, so much criticism, and it feels like we've been criticized. Not we, but we've been talking about the criticism of Michael's game for about 2 years, roughly. Now, we've been doing that for 2 years. We've been listening to people in the chat room talk all about how terrible it is. Yet on a 2-year ranking system, he's ranked 3rd in the world. So it can't be that bad, can it?
No, it's pretty good.
Are we just measuring him against his absolute peak? And when we're not seeing him do 5 games in a row, averaging 107, we're going, oh, it's fucking gone. He's got nothing left. And is that what people are doing?
Well,
yeah. Well, that's the other thing is, I think set play helps as well, because we do see peaks and troughs in his game now. There isn't that consistency that we see at other times, but he can have a set off and play an average 70 for a set and be awful, as long as he manages to pull it out in the other ones, and he will do that.
Well, the other one as well in this that you say about fear factor, and I agree. Look, and should people fear this version of Michael Van Gerwen? No. Not in relation to what we've seen before. However, and Dan, you've been in the media,
doesn't mean you're going to beat it just because you're not scared of it.
And you've been in the media rooms and you've heard it. They all still talk about if Michael Van Gerwen turns up, if Michael Van Gerwen does this. It's still in the back of their heads.
Yeah.
That at some point, Michael Van Gerwen will rediscover that old form. It's all there. Luke Humphries, the former world number 1, former world champion, still says to this day, if you put every player in a room and they play their very best, Michael Van Gerwen walks out.
And the interesting thing,
that version of Michael is in there.
But the interesting thing is, everybody that I know that seems to know a bit about it, certainly that everyone I know that knows more than I do about darts, not only do they seem to think it's still in there, they also seem to think it's not very far away.
No, there is very much that feeling that it's there and it's coming.
That's it. Is it? It's there, and at any moment,
when, not if.
Yeah, he could just turn up and do it, and there is a perfect storm scenario, isn't there? There is a perfect storm that after all this, after a couple of rough years, and lots of criticism and the action breaking down and struggles off the hockey, and that he comes back and shows everybody who the gaffer is, and you're going to thanks Luke's for having thanks Luke's for this year while I've been a bit distracted, but it's £1 million now, so I thought I better fire myself back up.
Yeah.
Well, you say that, and that's almost like what happened at the World Series finals. Because let's be brutally honest, going into Amsterdam, no one tipped Michael Van Gerwen to win the World Series.
No.
And he's beat Weston Nyman with 104, 98 to beat Rob Cross. He's beat Luke Humphries with 106.45. He's beaten Josh Rock with 102, and he's beaten Luke Littler with a 98. Right? To go through that caliber of player and win a tournament shows that there is still something there. Which will be interesting. And look, do I think he wins it? No. But I think the section of the draw he's in, he's given himself opportunities to play himself into form. Hazard, live next week from the wonderful Prince of Wales in Ilkeston. We are all going to be there. We'll release more details through the week, but we're all buzzing for the live show next
very
week.
excited.
Can't wait.
Daryl Gurney has got the stinker that no one wanted. Let's be brutally honest. There was one player in the unseeded section that no one wanted.
Can you phrase that better, please?
How would you like it phrased?
He's got the matchup that nobody else wanted. You don't want someone clipping that up and reposting it. Again, there are certain news outlets. You wait for the tweet tomorrow. Phil Bars calls so-and-so a stinker.
Look,
it's coming. You know it's coming. We've seen.
Yeah.
I've seen this shit.
It'll be you that'll be doing it. That's right.
I know yeah, exactly. Because I need to do anything for the clicks, lads.
Daryl Gurney must be sat at home now thinking, why me? Because he has got to deal with Bo Greaves in round 1, which was the match that none of the seeds wanted. Because you know you have to be on it from moment 1. And Daryl is one of the seeds that has not played particularly well of late.
Yeah, I think he's less likely to get rattled, though, than
yeah. He's been there and done it, Daryl, hasn't he? He has been there and done it before. Not specifically this, but this isn't his first rodeo, and he's been involved in all sorts of different situations on stage. And I think he's one of the least likely players to get rattled by it, and I think he can just turn up and throw a dart. The problem for him will simply be whether he can throw a dart as well as Bo Greaves can.
Yeah,
on the night. I genuinely don't think he'll get rattled by the occasion or by who he's playing. I just think that there's a fair chance that she plays darts better than he does.
Yeah, it's a pretty fair assumption that at the moment, if you were a bookie, I think that Bo would be favourite.
I've not had a look yet. I assume they are already up there, the odds for this. But I would imagine that, that is the case.
Be fairly even, wouldn't it? Let's see, 5 to 6 or something.
I don't think it's there yet. Certainly not on the title sponsors anyway.
Okay, the traders would have done well to get that up.
Hang on, I might be wrong here. I take it all back. They're already on there with it.
They've done well.
I thought that'd be one of the first matches priced up.
It's not in order of the draw, so give me a second.
Gurney's 8 to 7.
That's a made-up price.
I was going to say.
Gurney's 6 to 5. Bo Greaves 4 to 6. She is odds on.
Yeah, she is comfortably favourite. Yeah, nice.
Oh, I'll tell you what. They've had a stinker with this price. There is no way in a million years Dave Chisnell should be 1 to 4 to beat Fallon Sherrick.
No,
Philip.
We get on that very quickly.
Right.
Let's get on that quick. How much cash have you got?
Stop saying things out loud before we're all on it.
Honestly, Chisnell is one.
I did see it mentioned earlier that that Joe Cullen is not favourite against Brad Brooks, so there's a good chance that he has a press conference to remember again. Right,
Dimitri Vandenberg is odds on to beat Darren Beveridge. I'm not having that.
Again, who has priced that up? Dimitri Vandenberg is odds on to beat Beveridge. Is again, like if you'd like some free money, folks.
Yeah.
Go and stick a tenner on Darren Beveridge because he's beating Dimitri.
But gamble responsibly.
Gamble very responsibly. That's why I said a tenner. Over 18s only, of course, as well.
Peter Wright at 9 to 1 on looks.
Oh, we're obligated to say all those phrases now. I'll have to start practicing them again.
Yeah, that's it,
times a year, isn't it?
Yeah, it is definitely. Yeah, Peter Wright at 9 to 1 on doesn't look a price that I'd want to get anywhere near, to be honest.
100%. And again, I'm not being disrespectful to here, but how is Nico Springer only 1 to 5 to beat Joe Comito? That's got 3-0 written all over it.
Yeah, there's going to be some good opportunities in here, aren't there?
Would you take Barney at 2-1 to beat Stefan Bell?
Fuck. I wouldn't take him. I'd take it if he was not 2-1 on. I wouldn't take him at 2-1.
Wouldn't take him at fucking 12s at the minute. He averaged 74 the other day. Like, no, like, again, that's not a man that, like, you know, if you're that, in fact, even saying that out loud doesn't confirm to advising people to gamble responsibly. You can't say that.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, man. No. Please gamble responsibly. Do not bet on Raymond Van Barney.
At least give Mace a chance to get in the car and go to his nearest Paddy Power.
Yeah, no. £8, ruining it for everyone.
Oh my word. That's mad.
Jean Van Veen, I do think he'll comfortably win this game, but 50-1 on, I'm not having a look at.
Am I going to Lakeside next week? No. Not unless Neil Duff's in the final, and then I might. But
that's a good threshold. I think I might carry this. I might carry the same threshold as well. Actually, if Neil Duff's in the final, I think I'll go and watch. Yeah.
But other than that, no. I am on the road for exhibitions, getting pre-Worlds content and lots of it. So, yeah. But the draw going on today. Obviously, first time we've gone to 128, so everything's a little bit new. I think they overcomplicated it. I think you just seed 64 players. You haven't got overcomplicated then, because those other 32 are still drawn onto the left-hand side of the board anyway. So you might as well just fix them.
Yeah, maybe.
So that was mine anyway. I just they're on that side anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. It is difficult, and it's difficult when you get to to this number of players and the draws that, and everyone's in at the first round. There's also a vast variance in talent that you've got to find a way to not like create too much shit in the latter stages.
Yeah. No, John. No. Just no. We're not doing it all unseeded for the Worlds.
Yeah, this is what I'm like.
I like chaos, but you're taking the piss there.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because we like chaos, but chaos, there's a time and a place for it, and the back end of a Worlds tournament isn't the place to for two rogue qualifiers to meet each other because the draw wasn't seeded properly.
Yeah, because Luke Littler and Humphries got each other in the first round with the
winner. That's not the fucking time.
The winner to play Michael Van Gerwen or like Josh Rock.
Yeah.
Stupid. Yeah, it was. Yeah, could you imagine? So the Worlds is obviously here. We've seen the draw. If you're the players now, obviously you know who you've got. For the last few weeks, it's been preparing for this moment. There will be some that are over the moon. There will be some thinking, why the fuck? Why me?
Why did I bother?
But one thing's for sure, things are going to happen. Magic will occur at the Palace on top of Muswell Hill in December. It's what happens. It might happen. It will happen.
Oh, no, there will be. There is going to be chaos at times.
Absolute chaos.
And it's interesting too, because we start to, and it's difficult to predict it. We start to, pull people through little sections, and we start to look at who's coming through draws and things like that. But I do think what we've got in here is, whilst, yes, I think we've got a lot of seeded players that are quite out of form. And I think we've got some unseeded players who are supremely talented. And what we don't know yet is there's so much potential in some of those unseeded players that what potential is just waiting for is to be realised. And so every now and again, we have seen magic in the last couple of years. And we say repeatedly, whatever you thought stop saying all of this. Oh, well, only 2 people have done this before, and only 3 people have done that before. Like, all of those statistics, bin them, because this is a new world. And the players that are at the top of the game at the moment, they care not for your tradition and statistics and what you think is normal in the sport. It doesn't register. They're just doing things. And there's what we could see is people really realizing potential. We know that there's players. We know, and I know he's a seed, and because it could come from anywhere, but there's players in there like a Josh Rock, who was talked about. Like, if Luke Littler hadn't done what Luke Littler had done, then Josh Rock would be one of the most talked about young player in darts.
Yeah, like him and Jan, basically.
Him
They're
and
both
Jan,
the ones that would be talked about like they were Littler, essentially.
But the potential that they've got and the level that they've got and the ability that they have to produce that level and do it 2 or 3 games in a row, then that can happen. And we could see absolute magic from just a player that we've sort of waited for, or some potential, or we might see something amazing from one of the Asian players on a run. We might see something spectacular from one of the North American players. There's enough talent there that if the seeds aren't at it and the draw opens up a bit and somebody builds up a head of steam and starts to realize some of their potential, then we could have some good stories.
Yeah, I completely agree. It was in the chat room, and Mace says multiples. How many 9s are we getting at this year's tournament?
Yeah, I think 3 is my number. I think we get plenty.
Right, bold pick 4, 2 in 1 match.
Nice, I like it. Specific.
I'm going 4.
We're all convinced that they're all just minted it in 9s. I'm going to see.
If you want me to be, actually, what I'll make it even more because if it comes off, I'll be able to brag about it at some point in the future. There will be 2 in 1 match, and the 2 in 1 match will be in a quarter final. That is between Luke Littler and Credit Price, and they'll get 1 each.
That's remarkably specific. I like it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'll throw it out there because it's either a complete nonsense and everyone will forget, or I'll be able to clip this up nicely and share it for a year.
Yeah, that's it.
Also, the wonderful title sponsors, Paddy Power, have launched today their Darts of Destiny campaign to run alongside the even bigger 180 for prostate cancer. So along with donating £1,000 for every 180 hits, they are giving one fan the opportunity of a lifetime to go and throw 9 darts on the Ali Pali stage before the final. And they've got to hit 180 points or more to win £180,000.
That is a serious amount of money, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's
class.
You have to donate to the Destiny of Darts Just Giving page. I think it's a minimum of £5.
How much? Oh, that's reasonable. I thought it'd be a lump.
But all that money that is on that Just Giving page goes to prostate cancer, which is an amazing charity.
Yeah, it's already at well over $3,500 already. So
and it was only launched today.
Yeah, there's plenty of people getting involved, and we will definitely all be doing that as well.
100%.
Oh, we'll be on that. We will be all over that.
But I
can't wait for someone from Paddy Power to have to try and count my 19s to see whether it gets above 180 or not.
Not only that, not only will I be all over it, but I'm going to have to I'm going to have to get my mum to end it. Yeah, Mace is right. I have to work 3 months for that.
You're working far too hard, Mr. Simpson.
I could have 3 months off if I won that, couldn't I?
But I love the concept that they're giving the fan the chance to go and win that money on the Alexandra Palace stage. I think it is a great concept whilst raising, hopefully, a lot of money for prostate cancer as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Again, Paddy do it bigger and better than anyone in the game when it comes to sponsorship activation. We'll see that in the fan zone again.
Actually,
That's quite fun
as well. It's only £2 that you have
Is it only
to
two? There you go.
£2.
Bargain.
Rob makes a funny point in the chat room. If you earn £180,000 on the stage at Ali Pali, do you automatically go to 38th in the world? Does it come with a tour card? Like you've earned the money.
That's it.
Yeah, is this ranking money?
I assume.
Hang on a minute. We'll get down a hole here of people talking about. We'll have to see Merv King about whether we have to pay tax on it or not.
Well, that as well. We said the tour case Florian Hempel or someone will be donating like shit to try and get picked. I want 180 grand on my ranking. I keep my tour card.
Yeah, it's some of them. It's their only chance to get to Alexandra Palace at this stage, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, he's one of them.
Hazard asked us who dark horses. Oh,
Black Beauty.
What a program that was.
Where are we ruling on dark horses? Because if we're ruling the same as like the Sky Sports pundits, we can go anyone up to world number 4 if we want.
Yeah, but the problem is, what are you asking for in a dark horse? Because if you're asking for a dark horse to win it, I'm just going to say no, they won't. No, if you're saying like dark horse to go on a run, get to a quarter maybe,
semi-final.
Yeah, just a dark horse to have a good run.
Darius Labanous.
How far down do they have to be
outside
down the rankings?
Outside the top 20.
Okay. Well, he's burnt my fingers before, but in that bracket, if we're going outside the top 20, I'm gonna have to say, and he's well outside the top 20 as well. But I do fancy in that bracket Connor Scott to go on a bit of a run. He could meet Michael Van Gerwen in the 4th round, and if you beat Gary Anderson, and it is to the credit of Connor Scott that I think actually picking him going on a run involves him beating Michael Van Gerwen and Gary Anderson. You know, that would be quite impressive. But he's capable of it. It could happen. Jan van Veen, it doesn't count. He's out. Where are we going? Outside the top 20.
Dirk van Dijvenbode.
No.
I think he's in a decent little spot in the draw. I think he could. I think quarterfinals a good run for him.
Gets beaten round 2 by James Hurrell.
I wouldn't be massively shocked, but I think I see him going.
He is a player that and this is rogue, but Rob Cross is in absolutely no form whatsoever. Ian White and Mervyn King are what they are. Damon Hetter, Stephen Lennon, again, lottery. Joe Cullen, Mencia Suljovic, Bradley Brooks, like all of them sit in the same section as Cor Decker, who has repeatedly produced a really high level on the floor and has a really good game in him. And if you're looking for someone who could break out, if you have to play a seed, who do you want to play? Well, I'll have Rob Cross, please. Who are you going to bump into after that? Could it possibly be Raymond van Barneveld? Would that be okay? Is it okay? Can I have him?
Yeah.
If that's all right. Anyone else you fancy playing? Well, I wouldn't mind to go at Ian White. He's been bobbins lately. And I think Cor Decker has regularly produced really top-level darts. And that, if you look at that bracket there, you can beat all those players.
In response to Macy's comment about Dirt, there, all I'm thinking is, well, he can't shit himself then, can he? So it should be all right.
That would stop him shitting himself. Yeah.
I think Matt Campbell. I think he beats Savada. Pressure is then off because he keeps his tour card.
Yeah.
I think he can beat Menzies or Manby. And then he's beaten James Wade at Ali Pali before. James Wade's record's not great at Ali Pali. I think Matt Campbell could have a little run.
He needs it. But mind you, if Matt Campbell doesn't get through that first round,
Yeah.
and he falls, and he finds that he loses his cards, well, that victory on the Alexandra Palace stage could be exactly what Adam Savada needs.
Yeah.
Because we know the talent and potential that he's got as well. And then again, in the next round, he's going to meet Menzies or Mambi. Again, and we know that the level he can produce can get to them. It's whether or not Charlie Mambi that's his breakout moment. And it could be. That could be Charlie Mambi's breakout to the world.
Yeah. I agree, it could.
Kevin Dukes is in a good little spot again.
Kevin Dukes is always a nice little call because he picked Kevin Dukes. I just think he's one of those players. He's almost like it feels a little bit like he's sort of a gatekeeper to the top end of the sport. And like if you're in the top 32 and you're playing your A game, you'll pretty much always beat him. And if you're ranked below that and you're not punching above your weight, then he'll get you. And I think he's almost a gatekeeper around that sort of mid-30s. And if you're going to have to get past him and consistently better than him to really break up to that top level.
Yeah. So that is the World Championships all kicking off on December the 11th. However, next week is the big show. It's the Live Lounge Live, where we will break down everything to do with the World Championships live from the wonderful Prince of Wales in Ilkeston. So make sure that you are watching along. There will be fans in there. Can't wait for that. Cam's coming down from Manchester as well. Myself, Dan will all be there. It's going to be good. I can't wait.
Best night of the year. Best show of the year. Always is.
One thing that came off the back of the weekend, there was a lot of Premier League chat, as Dan heard in the press room. Has Nathan Aspinall played his way into the... There was a lot of talk.
I don't think he was ever out of it.
Not in your house, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't. I'd watch him just throw darts on his own every Thursday night.
Has he done it? Has he played his way into that lineup now?
I think definitely with a reasonable run at the Worlds. But yeah, I think the fact he's back in the top 16 now as well, I think he's just about done enough. But I am definitely biased.
I'm still not convinced, if I'm honest. And I think one of the problems is going to be, well, I'll tell you what, he doesn't get to a world quarter final unless he beats Luke Humphries to get there. And if he doesn't make the quarters of the Worlds, I'm just not sure that
it makes it a little bit trickier, doesn't it? But
it makes it, because the problem is there are going to be 8 players that do make the quarterfinals of the Worlds. And that's the challenge, is the recency bias is there will be 8 players that can point directly and say they were in the quarterfinals of the Worlds. There'll be 4 players that can say I was in the semi-finals.
Yeah, but we also know that people saying what they want, what they believe after the Worlds and where they think they should be doesn't actually have any bearing whatsoever on what the PDC.
No, but I also think the biggest threat to Nathan Aspinall, and this, I know this is a roundabout way of getting to the point, but I think the biggest threat to Nathan Aspinall being in the Premier League is Stephen Bunting not being 4th in the world. Because if Stephen Bunting isn't 4th in the world, which I'm not convinced he will be.
I don't think he will be either.
I don't think he will be. I think what that then does is I think that puts Bunting and Aspinall very much in contention for the same spot in the Premier League.
I think surely you go Aspinall on that.
I'm not sure. I think they might look at Bunting's following on social media, the walk-ons are arguably as interactive with the crowd and as engaging. I think, but I do think you've then got two people in the conversation for the same.
You're looking at someone who couldn't win a fucking game for love nor money last year, and someone that made the top 4. And I'm sorry, you can't put Bunting back in ahead of Aspinall.
Oh, they will.
I don't think he should get in there anyway, even if he is in the top 4. It's clearly not the stage for him. It's not where he should be. And he hasn't done anything to make me think that he can.
I'm going to make a bold prediction that if Bunting stays in the top 4, and this is if Bunting stays in the top 4, the world number 5, 6, and 7 will all be left out of the Premier League as it stands.
Yeah, I don't think 7 gets in, even if he wins the Worlds.
James Wade should be in the Premier League.
I think the ideal lineup that they would love to pick, because it ticks every box that they want: Luke, Michael, Bunting, Aspinall, Price, Rock, Van Veen.
I would to be honest, that's very, very close to what I would pick. But I think Johnny ends up above. I think Johnny ends up top 4 after the Worlds, because they're defending the same money, so he essentially just needs to go 2 rounds further than Bunting. And I think that would be the same pick, but swap out Bunting for Johnny.
I think.
Look, I agree. Nopper is the spoiler, because he could get into the top 4 and force their hand. I agree.
Yeah. Well, him or Clayton, isn't it? Him or Clayton could easily, very easily.
And that's
Clayton's in. He could force their hand.
Yeah.
I can't see a coherent argument anywhere.
Well, you're not going to get one on here.
That James Wade shouldn't be there. James Wade should be in the Premier League next year.
Why?
Go on. What's your reasoning? Show your workings.
I'll show you. Well, first of all,
force me to believe you.
He is one of the best performing dart players on earth, and has been consistently for the last 18 months. He is like, and you can say all you like, right? Whether you like it or you don't like it, you talk about him. Everybody talks about him. Whether you like him or not, whether it's to say, I don't like this and I don't like that, I don't like how he did this, you talk about him. The interviews, in terms of what he gives to the media, are some of the most entertaining, like amusing, joyful interactions with a professional sportsman that we get. I genuinely think it's good value. And I think you do have to demonstrate that you aren't massively just going to single in someone out because you dislike them as a human being and limit their earnings, because I think he should be there. I think he's done enough in terms of all of the metrics. I think like there are very few dart players, like Luke Littler has crossed that boundary, like where players, or people who aren't darts fans know who he is. But like in terms of recognition, casual fan recognition, and I get, Shan Van Veen, yeah, brilliant future star. Josh Rock, brilliant future star. Like James Wade, everybody knows him. Everybody knows who he is. I just think he's got one more in him. I also think as well, in that format, he's naughty in that format, and I think he could do a bit. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to be entertained. And I think that he is like him in that format, 17 weeks on that stage with the other mix of players is entertainment. I think it's entertainment. He is like year-to-date 5th top earner. Like he is like the Premier League is an exhibition. Like that's what it is. It's not a ranked tournament. You don't qualify it. Like you are there. Let's be really honest. What the Premier League is, you are there to earn money for the promoters by entertaining. James Wade is an entertaining character. His darts is phenomenal, and he is high value for entertainment. I don't know what box he doesn't take. How can you point at somebody, like a? What does Stephen Bunting bring over James Wade other than a fucking walk-on song? I don't get it. Maybe I'm lost.
You're on mute, Cam.
Yeah. I wouldn't have Bunting in there anyway. I'm with you on that one, but I don't know.
Look, I agree. On the board, he
really wants to be there every week, and that's what would be my worry with him.
I agree, but there are criterias that these players have a massive media commitment for the Premier League, right? Can you trust him to do that media commitment for 16 weeks? I don't think you can. So that's an X against him. But by the way, I'm just trying to level this out, by the way, because on the board, I 100% agree. He's had a great year. I'm not saying he hasn't. Can you trust him to do that? I don't know. Following, how many James Wade shirts do you see?
Right. Here's the next problem. Right, I feel like I've gone totally gob here. Like I'm really like
it's gone very wrong.
Like, smart, like so. As a man that has to wear a suit for work every day and put a tie on, I have a great amount of respect for a man who turns up to work in a proper shirt. And I have him and Gary Anderson, while the rest of them have gone for fucking polyester, nylon, shite, baggy horribleness, a man that still wears a button-up shirt and tucks it in like a fucking grown-up still gets my respect. And
I'm sorry, but I will never, ever respect a man that's wearing a short-sleeve button-up shirt.
Right, so, but do you know the problem so I'll tell you why we don't see enough James Wade shirts sold is because James Wade shirts aren't for sale. Because what's for sale is some bullshit version of the James Wade shirt, which is like a traditional over-the-head dart shirt, black pinstripe on it, not the James Wade button-up formal shirt that he wears on the stage. If that was for sale, I'd be wearing one now. But they're not for sale.
Well, again, whose fault's that? Whose fault's that? They're in charge of their own.
The people at Unicorn, we must assume.
Fully agree there. Rob says, co-stomping for the Prem. Yes, long-sleeved, proper shirts. I'll have that.
I'd have them in a tie. And I would say until you get on the stage, that's only when you can take your blazer off.
Yeah.
Like that's. I think
keep your waistcoat on though. You've got to keep your waistcoat on.
Yeah, I think you're in a jacket until you get on the stage, and then we'll have a nice little coat stand on the stage. You put your jacket on, put it back on for the break, back off. We need to get some professionalism back into this sport.
I think the Premier League race will be interesting. I genuinely do. I think it will go down to the Worlds, and I think Johnny Clayton is, for me, Johnny and Noppert are the two that are going to have the biggest say on these 8, because I'm not sure either will be in unless they're in that 4th position, which will be the interesting bit, especially when there's only 750 quid between them in the rankings as well.
Yeah, looking at it, so if James Wade loses in round 2 to Ricky Evans or Manlot Lung, are you still putting him in the Premier League? Or does he have to have a decent run here as well?
Yeah, probably. It's the recency bias, isn't it? It's because everyone that doesn't have a deep run here, so that everyone that does have a deep run here can just point the finger at it. And if you are the PDC and you want, if there's someone you want in there, like James Wade has to do more than other people. That is just how it is. And don't get me wrong, so do others. So does Danny Noppert. Danny Noppert has to do more than other people to get in that Premier League. He's probably got to get the number 4 spot to get in the Premier League.
I think Wade does as well. I think both of them are in that same position. I don't think either of them will be given the shot without doing it.
The interesting thing is, it could happen.
Well, it's not that they're not that far off.
You know, if James Wade gets to if he gets to a quarter-final and the others crash out earlier, if he gets to a semi-final and the others don't, he's right pushing. And James Wade could get to quarter-final and semi-final is where I expect him to get.
He's got to beat Luke Humphries if he's going to do it.
Luke Humphries got beat in the first round at the weekend.
He did. I don't think he does at the Palace.
No, I don't think he does at Ali Pally, but we'll give you that one.
Recency bias.
I just took it out.
Recency bias. I know we talk about it. There's no chance of losing a first round, but I sat in a room and watched it about 48 hours ago. It did just happen.
It will be interesting to see who takes those spots. It really will, because that's always the subplot of the World Championship. Yes, the Worlds is going on, but that continues to roll on, that Premier League selection, which will probably be Monday the 5th. I would imagine they'll announce it Monday the 5th.
Yeah, more than likely.
That's what they've done that the last few years, and I like that, the announcement live on Sky. I think it's been good. That's been a good thing for the Premier League announcement, because I was never a fan of it straight after the final, because for me it always took something away from the guy that's just won the Worlds. Because let's be fair, if it's Luke, Michael, Gezi, whoever, that's not a surprise. No one thought they weren't going to be in the Premier League.
Yeah, I'd probably do it Sunday evening after whatever game's on a late Sunday afternoon rather than Monday, but that's just because it's a pain in the ass for me when things are on a Monday.
Yeah. Why is Gezi a look? I just think Gezi's box office for me.
But they never change. The thing is, they never change.
It's never going to be wholesale changes.
4 players in. They never do big wholesale, full sweeping changes. You're going to get 1 or 2 players swapped in and out. And there's, Jan van Veen, I think there will be a big push for him to come through. That means you've got to sacrifice somebody else. You only get maybe 1, 2 players. And of course, it's been, Rob Cross has made it slightly easy for them to free up a space immediately by just sort of not playing at the top level at present. So that frees up a spot. But then, you've still got probably 7 that could say, hang on a minute, I was in the Premier League last year and I played pretty well. And, and I'm still quite a good player. And, it's that you don't expect wholesale changes of, you're not going to get 4 different players to what you had last year.
To be fair, Van Veen might be like Luke Humphries a few years ago. They might leave him out and give him 1 more year.
Yeah, I think it'd be the wrong call, but I think it's possible.
Yeah, I think they would only do that out of misguided allegiance to other players.
Or if he has a stinker at the Worlds.
Yeah, but looking at that draw, it's so hard to see, isn't it?
Oh, no, yeah, I can't see it happening. But if he just turned up first night and, broke 2 of his darts and only had 1 to play with and got beat, then... Right, just indulge me.
Hear me now.
I thought we'd got away from this when you went through with the whole
just indulge me. Right. If Chris Dobey makes a world quarter final, he will he'd have had to beat Littler and or Price.
Oh, I think he's right.
Does that get him in the Premier League, even if he doesn't go any further?
If he beats them 2, because it's going to push him pretty close to the top 4 as well, then yeah, fair enough. But I mean, if we want to dream about it, start talking.
I'm just looking for some positivity this week, mate.
I was going to say,
it's been a long old week. It's been a long old week in my house, and I'm just looking for some positivity where I can take it.
Are we putting Fallon in or not? We go back to that one.
Assuming she makes a quarter final.
I'll tell you what, she makes the quarter final of the Worlds. Could you imagine the clamour? Or if Bo makes the quarter final of the Worlds?
I mean, I've already seen it mentioned about Bo, and they should not.
I think it's too
won a game, yeah.
Yeah, I think she's do I want to see her reach a level where she could play in the Premier League? Absolutely. Yes, 100%. Do I think that she has it in her to get there? Yes, absolutely, 100%. I do not think it's the right time, and I think it would do more harm than good.
Yeah.
When you've got to remember, this is a player that has toyed for years with whether or not she actually plays PDC events at all, or whether she's
the Premier League has killed careers, as we've seen over the years.
Yeah, exactly. It would be irresponsible to push her in there. I genuinely believe, no matter how deep she goes in the Worlds, I think it would be irresponsible to put her in there. I think she needs a year on tour first.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Longer.
I don't disagree at all.
Probably a couple of years.
Yeah, 100%. The Premier League is a career killer at times. So, yeah. Should we have a couple-minute question time? I've loved tonight's show, by the way, everyone.
Might as well, eh?
Yeah. Should we have a couple of minute question times?
It's nice to have the. It's difficult because I get so used to being I get so used to being on my own while Philip asks questions, and I have to then. It's difficult for me to then bite back and remember that there is somebody else. But most weeks it's just on me.
Rob, if I'm being completely honest, I've not even looked at the WDF draw, mate. If I'm being brutally honest, I've got no interest in it. Yeah, it's on. I'll watch it, but it just does nothing for me, unfortunately.
Yep, I've got to agree. I have no conflicting argument to that one.
Yeah. Look, my genuine. I hope Neil Duff wins.
Yeah, I'd back that. That would be my preferred outcome.
Yeah, the Duff man would be. Oh yeah, we haven't mentioned Simon Whitlock winning the Australian Premier League. Congratulations to the Wizard.
I just had a quick look at the draw. The final is Jimmy Van Schie and Neil Duff, and whoever wins that game wins. There's your preview.
It's generally how it works. Cheers, man.
There's your preview. I've had a look at the draw. There's your final. Whoever wins the final.
Quite happy with either of them winning it, to be honest.
Whoever wins the final will probably lift the trophy. There's your preview.
Yeah, whoever hits the last double of the tournament probably wins it.
I think Van Schie's favourite for Lakeside, James. I think in a bookie sense, I think they'll have Van Schie as favourite. Thoughts on Stick Littler gave to Pietrezco afterwards? Look, only two people know the context of that conversation. So you can only judge it off of those two. That if it was like laughy and jokey and whatever, then it maybe. But only Luke and Ricardo know the context of how that conversation went. Yeah. So it was a great interview, though.
More of it, please. Like more. Yeah. That's what we want in it. Like we want to see.
This is what we said for ages. Isn't it?
He's a professional sportsman. There is huge amounts of money on the line. Like, and I want to feel like they're up for it. And I want to, like, do I want to see someone showing off? Yes. Do I want that to piss someone else off? Yes. Like I want that's just. And I want that to fire them up to then play better, to give me a better spectacle to watch. So it's professional sport.
Not only that, I also want to hear them talk about it afterwards and actually mention what's gone on rather than just playing it down and not giving an answer.
Yeah. Yes, we got media today, got interviews with Michael, Luke, and I got a one-on-one with Mr. Hawaii 501, Wayne Mardle.
Oh, nice.
Which is good. We've also got stuff in the can with Stephen Bunting, Ryan Searle, John McDonald. We're going to do a piece with Mace next week as well. Going up to Scotland. So we will have plenty of pre-Worlds content for you. Don't you worry about that. Some positive changes for Q School as well that were announced. I like the fact they're topping up. So round one, you will earn points. That's
been my biggest bugbear for a long time.
That's
the Q School format.
It's absolutely ridiculous that people win matches in these events and don't earn a point for it. It's completely absurd. And we've seen people end up getting completely stitched up by it, where they've won more matches than people that have got cards, but then the matches they won, they didn't pick a point up for every day. It's silly.
Yeah,
if you win a
people
match,
that
you get a point.
win a game and end up on the first day, they've won a game and end up behind someone that got beat first round because the leg difference.
Yeah, it's complete bollocks. If you win a game, you should get a point, and it should have always been like that.
Yeah. Mitchell Laurie for Lakeside thoughts. Look, he's a young lad, if he can handle the pressure, is he good enough? Yes, but that's a lot of pressure for a 14-year-old to go to Lakeside. But he has the ability. I'll tell you what, Mr. Stack Attack is in the chat room. Mr. Robert Owen, hope you are well, mate. Unlucky you didn't go your way today, so you'd have to watch Lakeside through your fingers, buddy.
I may not go to Q School.
No, I was just thinking that. It threw me. That.
Oh,
I haven't got a response to it yet.
The discussion is probably, Rob, please go to Q School. Like,
that was pretty much my thought.
I don't really know what else to say.
You may not need to. The results may go your way, and happy days, mate.
Yeah, it's not all is not lost, is it? I think there is still especially looking at the draw. Like, being really honest, if you look at the draw today, it's going to take something, like, in all honesty, it's going to take something quite unusual, because it means Karol Sedlacek would have to win 2 matches. Probably can't see that happening. Bradley Brooks would need to win 2 matches, not so sure. Cam Crabtree would need to win 3 matches. And every other scenario isn't going to happen, because no one else ranked below that is going to reach no one's going to get to a quarterfinal. Are they?
Yeah, you might be all right, Mr. Owen. Hey, we know
you might be watching, like, between, it could be a bit of this.
It's not going to be enjoyable. I don't imagine.
It's not going to be a comfortable watch, but if I had 50 pence to put on it, then I would probably put 50 pence on
him keeping his card. Yeah, I think so.
I'll tell you what, we've gone into Fergie time. Tonight's show has been absolutely on point. It has been sensational. Remember, next week, Monday, the slightly earlier time of 7:30, we are going live, because we have got a lot to fit in, guaranteed to be Fergie time next week, as the Live Lounge live returns.
You're making that hard work for me. I'm going to have to leave work even earlier. What a shame.
It's going to be an amazing show. We will put bits and bobs out through the week for you all to enjoy. But it is our annual trip to the wonderful, wonderful Prince of Wales in Ilkeston, where we will be hosted by Chris Mason and his lovely wife-to-be, Charlotte. It is not to be missed. Plenty of content coming your way this week. So make sure, if you haven't, hit that like and subscribe button. I also hear you.
Not only that.
Has it been leaked, Rob? Yes, I will be on Shooting the Ball Live, the CDC podcast this week. So make sure you give them a follow as well. Busy time media-wise this time of year, isn't it? But you guys have been sensational. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button for us. I've been Phil Bars, Dan Simpson, and Cam McFarlane. This week, we have been Online Darts. Enjoy your week. Make sure you are tuned in for all of our content, and we'll see you all very, very soon.